The world is full of urban legends, remarkable stories that spread like viruses around the planet, mutating and evolving until no one can remember which ones are true and which ones are urban legends. In this episode called More Than Meets the Eye, we show you 3 stories, all linked by deceptive appearances. First up, a popular Minnesota cheerleader hides the shocking secret to her success. Then, the story of a Pennsylvanian woman who gets unexpected help in a fight for her life. And finally, a New York art critic unveils more than just a collection of paintings. Watch all 3 stories and decide which urban legends are true and which ones are false. Find out if you guessed right at the end of the show. First, it's a story we like to call Homecoming Queen. Former cheerleader Tiffany Young knows that appearances matter, but she never knew how much until she met Melanie Simmons.
She kind of seemed to have one up on all the other high school girls.
But no one could have guessed where it would all lead.
It just shows you really don't know people, even when you think you do.
The story began in 2007, when Melanie was new to Eden Prairie High, but clearly not new to cheerleading.
I was really happy to see that she had some acrobatics and gymnastics in her background, and I picked up on it right away.
Girls had fallen down. You know, we're kind of clumsy. We weren't that good. We needed Melanie.
She acted a bit more mature, which I really enjoyed.
But soon, Melanie excels at far more than just cheerleading.
I mean, he was the hottest guy in school and the captain of the football team. She just knew how to reel them in.
Melanie's sexual prowess becomes the topic of hot gossip and jealousy.
There's always the, hazing, as you will, of girls, giving the new girl a hard time, especially if she's pretty or starts to be popular or is particularly good at something.
But there's another reason everyone is talking about Melanie. Something seems to be going on with her home life.
Melanie never invited people to her house. I just assumed broken family, didn't really ask because it was clear she didn't want to go there.
The other girls would definitely talk about, their home situation, that they had gotten grounded or their parents had read an email. But she never brought up her home situation.
No one takes it seriously until one day something unexplainable happens. Right after becoming homecoming queen, Melanie disappears.
Where's Melanie? Has anyone seen her?
She didn't come to school for a week. I don't know. I just thought she had mono or something.
As the days drag on, rumors start to spread. Did something sinister happen at home?
She wasn't on the squad and she wasn't attending school. That was the first inkling that anything was wrong.
So now I'm...
The school calls the police to investigate.
That's about it, I guess.
When no one answers their phone calls, the police go to the Simmons residence to get some answers.
Started asking her some questions, and she started getting pretty frustrated. We had to go in. Something was going on in that house. We didn't know what. Whether she was in danger, whether the parents were in danger. Everything seemed perfect. Dishes were done. Everything was nice and neat.
But there's something missing. Melanie's parents.
We saw the basement door, and that's when Melanie became agitated.
It's been locked ever since we've been here. I don't even think I have a key for it.
Get the key. We're going down to break it out.
They threaten to break down the door. Finally, Melanie gives them the keys. What is she hiding?
I think that I should probably just go and take...
Hold
I
it.
think that...
Thank you. Hold it.
I've been on the job for over 20 years. I thought that I'd seen everything I could ever see.
Hi.
The detectives are stunned and confused.
We asked that young lady who she was, and she said, she's Melanie, and that begs the question, who's that out there? That's my mom, she said.
It's a bizarre twist. The real Melanie enrolled at Eden Prairie High, but she never attended. Instead, Her mom, Karen, age 31, locked her up and went in her place.
It seems like she had been pregnant during the time that she would have been a cheerleader, and she desperately wanted to relive that experience in her daughter's place.
After Karen conquered everything at school, she simply stopped going, and that was the start of her downfall.
You know, it's a little impressive that a 31-year-old could pass for a 17-year-old. So kudos on that part.
I couldn't believe that this happened. It's one for the water cooler.
A mother so desperate for a second chance at high school, she steals her daughter's identity. But did it happen? You'll have to wait to the end of the show to find out. But before then, take a look at this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 1726. Give me shelter. College buddies Jake Shumway and Robert Carr couldn't afford a hotel when they attended the World Snowboarding Championships in Stratton, Vermont. So they built an igloo at the edge of the parking lot and huddled up in their icy cave. Unfortunately for them, during the night, the lot was cleared, and a bucket loader dumped a ton of snow in their makeshift shelter, entombing the friends in what became their icy grave. But was that tale cold hard fact or a load of hot air? It was in fact true. The friends were keen outdoorsmen and thought nothing about spending a night in their igloo, but they hadn't bargained for the snow movers. Ouch. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 stories. You have to decide which ones really happened and which ones are merely legends. So far, you've seen the story of Karen Simmons, who stole her daughter's identity to finally become homecoming queen. But is this true or false? Find out at the end of the show. Now it's time for our next story. It's called Lulu. Feisty Joanne Altsman is the queen bee of her retirement home in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania.
Come on, let's get Bella.
She knows how to appreciate the simple pleasures in her life.
I was born and raised in Beaver, and everybody's like next door neighbors, friendly and nice.
But not even Joanne's faithful cronies at the home can believe the incredible story of her narrow escape from death.
I would have been dead or been a vegetable for life. I had lost so much lack of oxygen, I'd have never survived it.
And especially the role played in it by someone who shares her soft spot for jelly donuts. It all began years before Joanne moved into the retirement home, when her husband brought home a pot-bellied pig named Lulu.
She was truly very homely, and the hot pink harness did not help her out.
Despite her looks, Lulu quickly works her way into Joanne's heart, and soon they're inseparable. It becomes obvious to Joanne that Lulu isn't just your average pig.
She'd sit in front of the refrigerator and cry, and they can turn televisions on. They don't go to the bathroom in a house. They're very, very bright animals. But because they look dumb, people don't give them the credit of how intelligent they are. I didn't.
You're not getting any more food today. You've had plenty.
Everybody said she loved me so much, and she just stuck like glue to me.
The two share a bond, but Joanne never could have imagined how special that bond would be.
God sent us Lulu.
One August day in 1998, Joanne's husband picks the wrong morning to go fishing.
My husband got up at 4 o'clock and went out on the lake fishing, and he was 8 miles out on the lake.
A few hours later, Joanne wakes up to a full-blown heart attack.
I'd had one before, and I knew this was the big one.
Joanne can't move. Her dog, Bear, knows something is wrong.
I kept hollering for help and begging my dog. You know, American Eskimos, they breed them to rescue people in the snow, and he just sat on the bed and barked at me.
Joanne is running out of time. Soon, the lack of oxygen to her brain will do irreversible damage. She will die. Her desperate cries for help fall on deaf ears, with the exception of 2.
Hey, somebody help me! Help me!
Lucky for her, Lulu is taking matters into her own hooves, even if it means putting herself in jeopardy. Incredibly, she heads for the highway. But no one wants to stop for Lulu. Sensing her owner could die at any moment, Lulu saves her best trick for last. In an attempt to stop traffic, she lies down in the middle of the road.
We didn't even know she could do dead piggy.
Finally, someone stops and follows Lulu 2 blocks back to the trailer.
This one young man pulled over, and as soon as he pulled over, she got up and got in front of him and led him into the campground. And they don't hurry very fast. Even when they're little, they don't hurry very fast. They're like old ladies like me. They're kind of slow.
But is it too late?
Hey, lady! Pig's in distress out here.
Go get me some help, please.
So I said, I'm in distress, please. Had a bad heart attack.
Unbelievably, Lulu's done it. Paramedics arrive just in time. 20 minutes later, and Joanne could have died.
They came, and they said in 20 minutes I would have been dead or been a vegetable for life. I had lost so much lack of oxygen, I'd have never survived it.
Lulu has achieved the seemingly impossible and saved Joanne's bacon.
She literally, honestly saved my life. It was a miracle.
Word of mouth spreads quickly, and Lulu becomes a sensation. Reporter Mike Foucault is the first to cover the story.
The Lulu story is a bit of the bane of my existence. I've written a lot of stories, but I am known for the Lulu story.
On that Saturday, we were on the front page of every newspaper in the land.
The actions of Lulu, the life-saving pig, had captured the attention of people around the world.
Fans come to visit their star, bringing with them gifts of food. But fame comes at a heavy price. Lulu porks out.
Perhaps it was the Pop-Tarts and the Big Macs that children fed her. But in any event, ironically, Lulu died of a heart attack.
For the beloved Lulu, it's a tragic end. Overfed and killed with kindness, Joanne has not only lost her savior, but her best friend.
I still haven't got over it. And nothing, there is nothing that would replace Lulu.
So did you buy the sizzler of the heroic pig who died of a heart attack 4 years after saving her owner from the same fate? Or is it total hogwash? Find out at the end of the show. But for now, take a look at this mini-myth. Mini-myth number 7,771. The Blind Man. Michelle Smith's morning shower was interrupted by the doorbell. Late for work, Michelle yelled from the bathroom asking who it was. Hearing the reply, blind man, she figured she didn't need to dress as her visitor wouldn't be able to see. Michelle rushed to the door, completely naked, to find the man holding some window blinds that her husband ordered and embarrassingly asking, "Where do you want these?" So is this titillatingly true, or will it be disrobed? This story is false. Clearly, it's another urban legend whose lasting popularity means that not everyone sees through it. On Urban Legends, we show you 3 incredible stories. Your mission is to sort the totally true from the fantastically false. So far, you've seen the tale of Karen Simmons, who locked her daughter in the basement so she could take her place at high school. And the story of Joanne Altman, whose pig died of a heart attack after saving her from the same fate. But which ones are real and which ones are fake? All will be revealed at the end of the show. In the meantime, watch our final story. We've named it Rediscovered. Edward Nadalin may look like a softie, but he's a respected New York art critic whose word can make or break an artist's career.
My reputation, I think, has to do with the power that I exert in the art world to recommend new artists to the general public.
There is no better example of this power than Edward's involvement with the reclusive painter, A.J. Knight. A.J.'s story starts in New York City, 1980.
I came across some of his works in an art gallery, and I thought that this was an artist of some quality who really needed some encouragement. I felt he was very talented.
Despite being brilliant, A.J. also has a difficult time with the art world. It seems Edward is the only one who believes in him.
He didn't feel that his works were being appreciated quite in the way he wanted them to, and I think that he became very disillusioned.
In February of 1981, A.J.'s lack of success takes a devastating twist.
Tragically, he committed suicide at the point when he was just making his reputation.
But even from the grave, A.J. makes one final request.
I found a letter requesting that I store a group of paintings that he had left for me to show them in about 20 years' time.
It's a bizarre request, but Edward respects A.J.'s wishes and puts the paintings into storage. 20 years later, Edward honors the death wish and opens an exhibition of the late A.J. Knight's paintings.
There's a type of morbid interest that the general public takes in people who are dead, and there is nothing more secure for the general public than the value that attaches to the work of an artist who's no longer going to produce paintings.
To promote the event, Edward writes a critique in a popular newspaper.
The response was beyond anything that we imagined during his lifetime. An article by a well-established writer is worth its weight in gold.
Incredibly, all of the paintings sell. Edward nets over $1 million.
Thank you so much.
Well, I was very pleased because I had promoted the artist. He was of great talent.
A.J. Knight instantly becomes the toast of the art world.
There were articles written, the television crews were there to record every statement that was made by anyone in attendance who appreciated or raved about the work.
But not everyone is buying the hype. Fledgling painter and writer Ulysses Gutierrez feels something is amiss.
To me, it didn't seem to merit the buzz it was getting. Looking at the work and seeing all the hoopla around it.
Ulysses begins to dig into the meteoric rise of the mysterious A.J. Knight.
I looked everywhere, really. I interviewed all kinds of people, and nobody seemed to know the actual person who painted the paintings, but they could tell you a lot about the work. There's no records of this guy. There's just nothing.
There is only one man who might be able to shed some light on this reclusive artist.
What can I do for you today?
I said, listen, there is absolutely no evidence for this guy having ever existed.
Ulysses runs another theory past Edward. Had this painter been using an alias to hide something? Could that be why he killed himself?
And he actually started to laugh.
Ulysses doesn't get the joke, but suddenly, everything starts to become clear.
I put two and two together, and then I realized it was all his own paintings.
You're right. I'm A.J. Knight.
My works are not serious works. They're part of one of my hobbies, which is just dabbling with paint. The reason I had done it was to expose the falseness that prevails in the art world.
It was an emperor's new clothes type deal for him. He just wanted to make fun of the art world.
With Natalie's permission, Ulysses exposes the critic as the one who created A.J. Knight.
I wrote a big story about it. That's exactly what he wanted.
Edward here. Of course it's an A.J. Knight.
The news reverberates throughout the art world. A lot of people are very unhappy.
The show sold for over $1 million, so the collectors who bought the works were a little bit angry. There were fraud charges brought against him, but he was able to prove that it was a conceptual art piece. So he got off scot-free.
In the crazy buzz of the modern world, anything can be art, even hoaxes. All you need to do is make them believe.
They were never able to prove that it was a fraud because the whole activity was my artwork.
So did this art world hoax ring true, or did we paint you an elaborate lie? It's time to reveal the truth about our 3 incredible stories. First up, it's a story of Karen Simmons, who kidnapped her own daughter in order to relive high school. But did it happen?
High school is a wild ride, but I just took you on a better one. It's fake!
But something similar did happen in Wisconsin. In 2008, a 33-year-old woman attended cheerleading practices, but she dropped out before the school year began. Next, it's a story of Joanne Altsman, whose pet pig saved her from a heart attack, only to die from the same thing. But is it fact or fiction?
My name is Jo Altsman, and this is a true story. My pot-bellied pig, Lulu, saved my life.
Lulu even made the rounds of celebrity talk TV shows before her death. Which leaves the story of Edward Nadalin and his revenge on the shallowness of the art world in the form of a fictional painter. But is it true?
I have been involved with the art world for a long time, but this story is completely false. I am not Edward Nadalin.
This story is fantastically fake, but many people have fallen for real-life art hoaxes. That's the end of our episode called More Than Meets the Eye. Were you able to split the tellingly true from the fictitiously false? Don't worry if you couldn't. You'll get another chance to separate fact from fiction in the next installment of Urban Legends.